In ancient Greek mythology, the griffins were said to be the hounds of Zeus. Half eagle, half lion, the beasts have guarded great treasures throughout time.
I talked to Noah. So today we're starting also performance metrics from a dollar perspective because we got the brokerage account. So I sold out of Sol was it was a great day to do it because Sol pumped up to like $95.
Yeah, I saw that.
So I sold out of most of our Sol. Took like $3,200 out. So we have about a 15% treasury allocation to Sol, which we may want to wind down too. But it's good to have some. We have earnings power in Sol, so you definitely don't want to increase your currency risk by holding a lot of it. Again, all of this is something I'll get into, but we have over $5,000 liquid in cash. We still have $854 in Sol. I've already purchased some equities for TD Ameritrade, about $615 worth. So about 10%. So it's exciting stuff. We're up and running, and we're well over $6,000 in our treasury account. So I'm excited.
Heck yeah, dude. Yeah. So I'm curious. We'll talk about the investments in more detail when we get some more people in here. But dude, it all sounds good.
Yeah, we can hang out. I mean, even if it's just a recording for later or whatever, it's just good to have. But yeah, we'll see if people hop in or not.
Yeah, I was on Moon Roving's space last night, just listening, and I found a couple collections that really interested me. We chatted with Particles, DM Particles NFT afterwards, and they're going to be joining us on Monday for our Twitter space. But they're on the West Coast, so we're going to have to move that from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. But they do like one-on-one artists that kind of like bring them on, and they have a lot of interesting perks, and we'll talk to them on Monday and figure out a bit more of what they do. But that's gonna be interesting to get Particles on here. And we also have tomorrow. We have that space at 1 p.m. our normal time on Thursday, 1 p.m. Eastern with Art Monkeys. So Art Monkeys is gonna be really cool. They have a pretty big collection, pretty big community, and they do a bunch of unique art. And they also have this whole like VR kind of metaverse that's already in place. So they have these islands. You can basically put your monkeys on them. There's games that happen on the islands. There's like you can form coalitions and stuff. And the islands are basically ways of hosting events. And one thing for us, like I'm interested in doing when we talk about them tomorrow, is figuring out like how we can partner. This would be like our either second or third time chatting, and they do raffles. So I think one of the cool things their community can get from us is either Griffins or they can use our rewards, our quarterly rewards. That's like almost like a giveaway to their community. So I don't know. I'll try to. We'll talk. We'll see what happens. There's no guarantees yet, but also on tomorrow with us, we have a pretty big investor who I found through Cross Chain Capital, which is that CCC on Twitter, which is a cross chain platform for investing. They do a lot of GameFi yielding. They're involved with Griffin DAO. So this guy, he's like an ambassador for Griffin, for CCC, and a bunch of other of their collections. So excited. He's actually pretty excited to talk with us. He's out in Hawaii, but he'll be coming on with us at 1 p.m. our time tomorrow Eastern. And in Hawaii, I don't know what time that is, but it's got to be like 6 or 7 a.m. or something like that. So he's really committed to it. So yeah, that's a lot going on in tomorrow's space. A lot going on in Monday's space. As I said, we'll be talking with Particles NFT, but yeah, and we got a couple more people in here. We got Marcel. Marcel's in here. He's out in that's our dude out in Canada, Montreal. Hope you're doing well, man. We got Daniel out here. Daniel updated his Twitter name. I think he doxed himself. That's pretty cool. We love your PFP. So it's cool seeing you in here. My final thing before Austin takes it over is we are actively still recruiting team members. Now we kind of filled the community leadership team. I'm very happy with our team. We got a couple of them in here right now, but we are still working on building out the developer end, and by developer I mean kind of an assistant developer, people to assist with our social media professionally, people to assist with marketing and our market analysis. So a couple things that we're doing to actually conquer that is we've filled out an official internship form that was submitted to the University of Florida College of Digital Arts and Sciences. So the hope there is they will be posting it up on their website. I have a guarantee from them that they'll be doing that. And from there, everyone in the college and everyone who's minored in the college will see that job posting, the internship posting. So through that, I think we have a great opportunity to reach some really interesting young talent, as well as we will be going to the University of Florida on the 22nd of April. They're holding it's similar to a job fair, but it's meant for current students and those who are, alumni working in industry. And we'll be going there and chatting with people. And so I have a lot of faith that by either the end of this month or the beginning of the next, we'll have at least a couple interns with professional experience or like pre-professional experience that really can help us scale. I think we're in a great place to start doing that. So besides that, my final point will be in Miami at the Solana Hacker House in April 5th. So that's gonna be really cool to meet some of these people in the community in person. And we're just branching out. We're doing a lot of partnership work. These spaces are really helping us meet people, and this is we're building. Obviously we're building. So I'll toss it back off to Austin. I think we can get started with the investors call. Austin's been grinding away, and he's a ton of stuff to talk about. So go ahead, mate.
All right, thanks, Matt. And I'm going to try not to drone on and on and on and be as succinct as I can. Just to give an introduction on what we're going to be talking about is one, the Medium blog that we've started. And Matt, you can correct me, but I do think it is called a blog. I looked more into what people are posting, and so I do think it's more. It's not quite like a newsletter or anything like that. We'll be doing blog posts to a Medium account that we have. I published the first one today, or our team published the first one today, which is basically just an intro to what we're doing, an introduction to Griffin Investments DAO. Kind of highlights a lot of stuff that our community already knows, but for anybody coming across it for the first time, I hope it does a good job of explaining, what exactly we're doing at Griffin and some of the benefits of being a holder, the whole idea of aggregating community revenues to an investment fund, being a part of an online key where we kind of ideas off of each other and deploy capital in a way that benefits the community. So like I said, if you're part of the community, you probably already know a lot of what's written in this first introductory article, but do check it out. And in the future, this is just going to be a great platform for us to be able to kind of post different ideas about what we're thinking, especially from an investment side, right? So if there's some new company, well, not necessarily a new company, but a new investment opportunity that we're looking to get into, or we want to just write up something, maybe we've deployed a little bit of capital in a company and we want to kind of write up like a bit of an analysis on what we're seeing with them and why we're interested in them or why we've maybe invested some money into them. We'll be posting those blogs here. But another really exciting thing that I wanted to talk about with this Griffin Investments DAO blog now is we want to open it up to our community too. So we'll be probably publishing maybe a Discord channel or something that'll kind of explain a little more about how the logistics of this will work. But we'll be open to our members, any DAO member that wants to submit an article to be put up on this Griffin Investments DAO blog can submit it, probably just an email, like email a Word document to our email, griffininvestmentsdao@gmail.com. The team members, the founders will probably vet the article, we'll read it, and if we like it or we think it'll add value, we'll publish it up on our blog, and then maybe provide some of our own commentary at the end, or maybe not, depending on what the article is. And that way it allows like this generative process where we're not, I mean, it does add value to hear, and Matt may say, especially about where we want to allocate capital, but also to allow our team members, or not our team members, but our DAO members to write up their own articles. And then you can choose to be anonymous if you want to be an anonymous Griffin DAO member, or you can put your name on the article too. And so it won't just be exclusively the founders writing these articles. It'll be open to the community. And so we're just excited to continue to add value in this way through this, like I said, I guess you consider it a blog, and it's put on the Medium platform, medium.com. I made an announcement about it today in Discord, but I'll be doing a more in-depth announcement about all of the logistics surrounding writing your own articles, submitting those articles if you want your article published, and more of the reasoning behind why we have a blog place. Matt, do you want to hop in?
No, I think you hit the nail on the head, and it is, yeah, I see it as a blog that we'll be leveraging our community's knowledge to write weekly, and we are looking into ways to basically add more value on a regular basis. So the way we see it, we add value at several points. Quarterly we provide those rewards to holders, so that's those Solana airdrops to holders, and that's like every quarter. But how do you chunk that up even more? I think a way to chunk that up more is like weekly analysis and just being present in our spaces with collections that we think could also provide value to our community. So there's several fronts that we work on, and it's going to be a regular thing, and I think it's going to engage our community even more. So I'm excited to start seeing our community add value to those posts and give us a bit of their perspective on the market as well. But of course, we're going to be heading this endeavor, so you'll be hearing from Austin and Noah in their write-ups on a regular basis. I'm excited to read them.
Yeah, we lost you for a second. I don't know if it was me or you, but only for like 1 second. So all good, and thanks for that. And yeah, I'm very excited about the blog post. It's a better platform for us to publish different ideas, whether they be investing related or not. I'm sure most probably will be, but it's better than just writing very, very long Discord announcements, right? And it's better to separate the two. And we'll probably be posting these on Twitter, different articles that we write, and so hopefully it not only provides value to our community, but some of them will help bring people to us, right, and grow the community. All right, so the next thing I wanted to get into, finally, we got a brokerage account for our business. And I've set up a brokerage account before, and I didn't really remember how long it took because it was years and years ago for TD. You can set up a Robinhood account easily. And so, but anyway, so I was like, okay, I'm going to go set up a nice TD Ameritrade brokerage account for the business. And long story short, it's just there's so many more hoops than you would think. I actually went again and did a new personal account with TD Ameritrade, and I had it set up and funded with money from my checking account under 15 minutes. So if you're just looking to be like an individual to set up a brokerage account to begin getting equities or stocks or whatever, it's so easy. But as soon as you're like, no, we have a business entity and we need you guys to be a brokerage for the business entity, you have to get different documentation. You have to answer a lot of different questions. Not only that, but we had to print out all the stuff because a lot of the writing had to be in ink and signatures had to be in ink. And so then we're mailing them to each other and we're mailing them off to TD Ameritrade. And then they had 2 times they had issues with what we were sending them. So not to get in the weeds too much, but if you're wondering why it did take a little bit longer than we liked to finally get this brokerage account set up, that's part of the reasoning. Matt, did you want to jump in?
No, you basically dealt with the craziness over there yourself, so I really don't have anything to add other than I can breathe a sigh of relief that we're able to actually invest. And maybe I'm sure people are eager to know about our first investment. Maybe we can talk about that.
You're breaking up a little bit. Eager to know what?
About our first investment. About our first investment. Do you hear me at all?
Oh, yeah, first investments. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna be getting. Yeah, I got you. You're just a little choppy, but that's okay. Hopefully it's not me, but yeah, no, I'm gonna go further into that. I just saw you unmuted your mic, so I just thought you may want to jump in. But no, it's all good. So yeah, so that's the logistics of finally getting it set up. So a couple things. We want to start tracking the performance of our investments too. So it's interesting in this way because we're taking funding in from Solana, right? When people buy the NFTs to fund the investment account, they're paying a SOL. So we'll always be able to track the performance from a Solana-based perspective. Like say I think we've sold about 70 Griffins. So if Sol trading at $80, well, the initial funding we got was 70 times 80. But if Sol starts trading at, $150 in 2 months, now our initial funding was 150 times 70. So it's hard to get an actual perspective because the currency is so volatile from a Solana perspective. Now that performance perspective is valuable. I say we probably will still keep it in our monthly reports and things like that. But now that we've finally gotten our brokerage account set up, we will be able to take a dollar perspective, which is more traditional, and it's kind of where all the infrastructure is anyway. So that being said, we've sold out of quite a bit of Sol. We were holding most of it just in the Treasury, kind of to protect against volatility between the price of our NFTs and the price of Sol. But now that we actually have the ability to invest capital, deploy capital, we've sold out of Sol down to about 15% of the Treasury's total size. So I threw together a little spreadsheet today. Our total Treasury size in dollars is $6,693. So that is going to be considered our initial dollar investment. Now that includes 9 Solana. Sol's trading about $94 right now. So that's an initial investment of $850 that we're holding in Sol. But that also includes over $5,000 cash. And then I've gone ahead past couple days and invested about $600 into equities, mainly just to get my feet wet with the brokerage account. I'll go into the companies that we've invested into and talk a little bit about why we've added these positions, but each position's small. Nothing's larger than about a 2.5% stake in the Treasury. And over the coming days, weeks, and in perpetuity, I guess, we'll be investing more money. We'll be a little more active with communicating assessments that we're looking to make with our Discord members. We'll see if they have different ideas about what we're proposing, if they have different proposals for us. And so it's just exciting now. It feels like this is the next phase for us where we're finally actually operational. We're finally able to deploy capital. And the whole idea behind Griffin Investments DAO is starting to really take shape. And, we've raised, like I said, we've raised $6,693, or about 70. And so I've always stressed that it doesn't matter necessarily the amount of people in the community or the size of the Treasury. The concept works at any size. And so it's exciting that now, as we have the concept really rolling along, I think it'll be easier to show other people who want to invest with or join the community as well. So it's both this Medium account and actually having the brokerage account. I think are both big steps for us, and they'll help grow the community. We've already announced that the Griffin Mint will be finished at the end of May, but that doesn't mean that we'll be done taking in capital. If we think we can raise funds down the road, we can have a second collection that's underneath the Griffin Investments DAO title, which can help us raise more funding for the Treasury, which again, I've always stressed directly benefits Griffin holders. Because if we're selling a collection, each Griffin item has 12 Treasury shares. Maybe the next collection will have 10 Treasury shares or 9 Treasury shares. We get to sell that item at maybe we sell it at 1.5 solar, or thing along the lines that are in comparison to the Treasury that, like I said, directly benefits Griffin holders because of the valuation we're trading those at. And if we do launch a second collection, I'll get a lot more into the weeds about the valuation we're selling. Another point to that is we've had some people talk, why do I want to hold a Griffin if anybody can buy it 1 sol? Say the Treasury doubles in size. Now there's this large arbitrage opportunity between where you're going to buy a Griffin at and where the actual intrinsic value of each Griffin is. And so the team's aware of that. If we do see spreads, basically, I think we set around 25%. So if Griffins are trading 25% below their intrinsic value, we will adjust prices to kind of equalize that. I don't think we're going to go below 1 sol. We're going to kind of leave that as the floor. Because again, we're delivering other ways, but we don't want previous holders to feel like they're getting undercut and diluted by new buying coming in, basically. And so again, I don't think that's going to be a very large issue. We only have another month and a half, so I guess there could be some delta that comes in there. If there is, we'll adjust pricing accordingly. It's not difficult to update the Park Candy machine at all. Okay, so just to talk a little bit about the companies that we've first dipped our toes into. Again, I want to stress this isn't at all. This was the very some of our investments me and Noah had talked about that we like, but a lot more will be coming. I think I said we've invested about $600 worth into equities, and our total Treasury size is approaching $7,000. So we'll be doing a lot more investing to come. But a couple, so we have 4 equities in our treasury right now, and each there's kind of 2 pairs is what I would say. So Noah and I really like international energy stocks right now, and we kind of like them at least over the next 2 years, 1 year, but further along too. There's a couple reasons for that. Because of the geopolitical risks, we don't see prices of oil collapsing like some people have thought. Now, it's hard to try to make investments based on just geopolitical risks, but the 2 companies that we bought along this lines are the ticker symbols are PBR and PTR. The PBR is Petro. It's a Spanish word, but it's like Petroleo Brasilio SR Petrobras. Anyway, it's the oil monopoly in Brazil, and PTR is a similar story for China. So we bought the main oil company from Brazil and the main oil company for China. Again, both of these right now are about a 2.5% of the treasury, but they're trading right now at phenomenal valuations. I don't have the numbers right in front of me, but each of their PEs, like their trail PEs, are well under 10, so like in the single digits. And again, they have phenomenal dividends. I think PTR is the Chinese Petro China Company Limited, PTR. They're trading with a 13% yield and a dividend this past year. And while you don't want to just the stocks because the dividend's high, we do see it as a great opportunity. And again, not a very large portion of the treasury by any means, but those are a couple international oil plays that we've gotten into. Another thing I want to say before I go any further, we aren't actually offering any financial advice. I have to preface that. So if anybody's listening to this in the recording, or the people we have in here now, don't just hear the companies we say or see the companies that the Treasury's invested in and feel like we're providing financial advice. You always want to do your own research, and you want to speak with a financial advisor before investing any of your own money. But feel free to write those down. Ticker symbols are PTR, PBR. They're international oil plays. We see the price of oil continuing to stay elevated, and these companies are trading at cheap valuations. So this is kind of your stereotypical value play. Great earnings, great dividends, and we do see some growth coming to both these companies as well. And then the only other 2 companies, so that was kind of one pairing. The other pairing we bought is we bought Verizon and AT&T. So both Verizon and AT&T are U.S. telecommunication companies. So you see one pairing is international energy. Now we have U.S. telecommunications. These companies have enormous moats around them. It's very difficult for new players to try to establish themselves in telecommunications. So the reason we bought into these companies is they're trading underneath 10 times their pre-tax earnings, which is kind of a famous Buffett rule. He has this idea of what's called an equity bond. And if you want to look that up, basically you're buying these companies and it's like you bought a bond with a 10% coupon that can grow over time. Now, even if Verizon and AT&T growth is somewhat low compared to other, tech companies or any other U.S. Companies, we're still buying a 10% coupon right here with them trading at their current levels. And so there's a couple traps you get into. It's not just a good idea to go out and buy companies with a 10 times pre-tax earnings because of a couple of reasons. The one trap is the typical value trap. So you see a company that looks very cheap, and you're like, oh, this company to get into, but what you don't realize is the quality is either very poor or their earnings are likely peaked and going to come down. Again, that ties into the quality is not a good company, or maybe they'll have more competitors. And so that is a risk, for these 2 specifically. We didn't buy T-Mobile, so I guess if T-Mobile took a lot more market share, that is a risk. But we just see with the recent sell-off in the market broadly. By recent, I mean maybe a few months ago, you saw a lot of air kind of come out of the U.S. market bubble. We too as great and safe plays. Again, each one of these is about a 2.5% stake in the treasury. So these are more of safe companies that we don't see them going out of business anytime soon. Giant moats, well run, very safe, and trading at a valuation that is kind of attractive right now. Like I said, it's like you're buying a bond with a 10% payment, and if they get any growth, which there is, AT&T is probably a little bit more of the more speculative, if you want to call it that. But there's a little bit more risk reward there, a little more room to grow. They're a little bit more indebted. So if you look at something like their enterprise value to their EBIT, it's a little bit more elevated because they have debt. But anyway, like I said, to be a little more simple, giant U.S. companies, huge moats, trading at valuations that's attractive, and you should see those are pretty safe. We actually think PTR and PBR, the international energy plays, could see a lot more appreciation, especially if oil stays elevated. I think there's a somewhat of a market consensus that oil is going to collapse in the future. Once these geopolitical risks are kind of straightened out, and collapse is kind of a relative term, because what is it going to collapse to? $75 a barrel. Currently, oil's it was up, I think, 5% again today, so up in the 120s to 130s level, and we kind of see it staying elevated. Some of the sanctions that the U.S. has Russia, it's difficult to just think that these two countries are going to immediately snap back into getting along very well. And even if it does, we believe the price of oil has been held down for a long time, especially in dollar terms. Russia is starting to trade oil for Chinese currencies, and you're starting to see a lot of developments that might make these pressures in oil prices stay high. And the reality is the price of oil could come down considerably, and these companies are still basically long-term value companies that pay great dividends, and they're currently trading very cheap because, again, I think market participants may be underestimating the degree to which oil prices can stay elevated and maybe even go up from here. But okay, if anybody has any questions, feel free to request a speaker role. Like I said, we're going to be talking a lot more about investments we'll be making in Discord. And again, this is not financial advice. Don't go out to these companies because I talked about them. Matt, you want to say anything?
Oh, I'm wondering if you can hear me, first of all, but
Yeah, you're good. Sorry, you're doing. I can hear you really well.
okay. No, I don't have much to add to that. That's all. You and Noah doing a great job doing that, Rich. And I know you guys have been thinking. You've had time to think about where to make those initial deployments of capital since we've been waiting on that brokerage account. But it really is very, very cool and exciting that you guys can get to it finally and start deploying capital and start seeing some gains, however modest, because we see ourselves as almost like a hedge against what it seems to be very common in the space, which is the quick traders, the short plays. A lot of people promising like these 10x or these 5x or even these 2x in like weeks time. I think it's just you're playing with borrowed time and borrowed money. But it's nice that we can actually talk about and start showing the companies that we're investing in, and really people will see very quickly that we are a long play. We're in it for the long haul. Our investments are in it for the long haul. And we have a really, A+ team that this is your passion. This is Austin's passion. This is Noah's passion. This is what they do. So, dude, it's very exciting. I tweeted out to quantum traders, to Solana Storm, to Soul Street traders, just let them know that we are in here. Who knows if they come in? Probably wrapping up soon anyway. But Moonroving did like our tweet, which is pretty cool. We tweeted out the space about the Medium blog, and Moonroving liked it. So I think it's about time that we get on his space, and whether it's the late show or the morning show, and have a conversation with him and his community. We have everything in place. We're operational, and we have
Yeah,
that.
well, like I said, I see this as. Oh, sorry, Matt, you're kind of cutting in and out, buddy. Can you? Oh, okay, you're muted. But yeah, like I said, I see this as a step for us. The project. Well, at least it's actually like the project has finally started with its mission. We've had some initial community growth, some initial funds raised, and we can continue to grow the community and more funds. But now we're really doing what we kind of talked about setting out to do, and providing value through Discord. So I'm super excited. I think there's some landscaping going on right outside the door, if you guys can hear that or not. But anyway, we don't have to stay super long on here. I'm just excited that I got to speak a little bit about us getting started, and we can throw this recorded space into a quick little podcast if you want, Matt. Only other thing I'd say is just to talk a little bit about the investment landscape broadly. We're in a period of, of financial repression in a lot of ways, and so if you look at, it's difficult to invest right now, especially safely. If you look at where interest rates are, they're a 0.25%, and if you look at where inflation is, the CPI is at 8% in America, but that number they manipulate pretty intensely. Real inflation year over year, especially now with the Russia invasion for March, real inflation is going to be close to 20%. It's going to be anywhere from 16 to 20% year over year. So you don't have a safe place to try to put money and grow wealth. That's why we do see a lot of value in cryptocurrencies and blockchain technologies where you can try to store your wealth, especially something like Bitcoin. But we also we think gold's going to play a role, and we may have some exposure to gold mining stocks. They can kind of, again, they already have a cash flow. They already provide some level of what would you call it, earnings to their shareholders, but they benefit greatly if something like the price of gold goes up. I mean, you've seen commodities generally. Wheat has gone up extraordinarily, maybe doubled in the past week, again because of geopolitical problems. But it's not so easy to immediately turn those off. And commodities will be volatile, but we don't see them coming down significantly. And in this period of financial repression, when there's not great places to find risk-free yield. I mean, in the past, you could buy a U.S. Treasury and have a guaranteed real return of 2-3%, sometimes even more than that. But we're not there today. You can buy a 10-year U.S. Treasury bond and you can make a little under 2%. But when true inflation is eaten away, I mean, even if it comes down and even if it's at 5%, well, you're still losing 3% of your money each year. And right now, inflation's well above it. And if you look at government balance sheets and some of the problems they have, especially in developed markets, I'll just go a little bit into this rabbit hole. But if you look at the true interest expense for somebody like the United States, which is the interest on their $30 trillion national debt, their PAYGOs, which is their payments to Social Security and Medicare, not future payments, which is probably anywhere from $100 to $200 trillion that they promise to pay out, but just like every year what they have to pay in Social Security and Medicare, that alone is 100% of the record high tax income they brought in last year. So they bring in about $4.5 trillion last year, which was a record. Just paying interest on the national debt, Social Security, Medicare, that's 100%. So any extra defense spending or other entitlement spending, any fiscal stimulus bills like the $2 trillion infrastructure bill they had last year, they have to borrow more and more money, and it's kind of in a spot where I think there's a lot more risk that they continue to inflate the currency. The U.S. central bank has now inflated its balance sheet to about $9 trillion, and most of that printing, well, almost all of it has come since the 2008 financial crisis, but a lot of it has come since the 2020 COVID crisis. And so that's why Noah and I generally we're bullish towards U.S. as well, but international energy and material businesses that are producing real assets, and those businesses will benefit greatly if you see a continued in industrial metals or energy, oil, natural gas, those sorts of things. So for the next 2, 5, 10 years, we think that's going to be a good place to be. That's where we're going to kind of have some of a focus, but also be diversified. We see not all tech is going to just be killed in the next 10 years, obviously. So we're going to pick and choose our spots. But that's me going a little bit deeper into where we're at. I'm sure we're going to have a lot more discussions in the future, a lot more discussions in Discord, but talk a little bit more broadly. And like I said, Matt, we can probably wrap this up. Thanks to Marcel, Billy, and Daniel for you guys coming in and joining here. This we can cut it up into clips and use it or publish it to our YouTube as a Journeyman Journey podcast. So like I said, if any of you guys have any questions, feel free to request a speaker role or hop in Discord and ask them. And we may be wrapping this one up kind of early.
Yep, I think this is a good point to wrap it up. Thank you all for being here. Thanks, Marcelo, Billy Goat, Daniel. I'll see you guys on Discord. I'm going to go ahead and tweet out this space once we close it up. Yeah, Billy, if you wouldn't mind sharing this on Discord, I'd really appreciate that. But let me know if you can. I'll be happy to post it. It wouldn't take much time for me either. All right, guys. We'll talk to you soon. Hope everyone has a good day, and we'll see you tomorrow, like I said, at 1 p.m. Eastern with Art Monkeys and also special investor who's pretty heavily invested in an ambassador for cross-chain capital.
Yep. Thanks everybody for coming out. Take
All
care.
right. See you. Have a good one.
Thanks everybody for coming out. Take
All
care.
right.
Griffin Investments DAO. Join the path on Discord.